All right, so today in the shed, I'm joined by a very good friend of mine. He is a documenter, a big thinker, and a storyteller. I took that off your Insta because I thought that was pretty good.
Thank you, man.
He's creating music videos, commercial film, and photography, working with some of the best artists today, and creating inspiring content with an edge of much-needed wackiness, I think, and which is also in a very competitive market. And you seem to be doing a fucking lot all the time. Apart from what we just said, you seem like you're hibernating and not doing as much.
Yeah, not as much as I'd like to. I think it's just the current world and the current climate. Like what it's like. It's tough at the moment. And,
Yeah.
we're just coming out of winter time now. So I think everyone's got a bit more of a smile on their faces now.
Yeah, but I think also the way the world works and the way the seasons works is that we're actually not meant to fucking be going straight back into work from January. From after Christmas, I think you're meant to rest for like January, February.
Yeah, I think so because especially summer's so full on, but like for me at the moment as well, I find it quite weird because like my partner works like crazy hours. Like, she's working on Star Wars at the moment.
Sick.
And she works crazy hours. So but I'm in between her place and my parents' place. And my parents work like 9 to 5 jobs. So like they work every day. And then it's kind of like you find yourself. I'm always busy, but I find myself like looking at like being like, how do I manage my time? Because I feel like I have so much free time.
Yeah.
Where I necessarily might not be doing as much as I possibly could with that free time.
Yeah. I mean, how do you? Is that going to annoy you? I'm just worried.
Push it that way. So if you push it back,
like that,
like if you push, will it go?
It won't go down.
What about in? Like
Then we might. Oh yeah. Oh, Tommy. And that's why he's a director. I know how the fucking cameras work. How do you find that with your partner, with it being that kind of work? Because I know production can be like 6 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock. There's no fucking end with that. I suppose you work in those kind of world as well.
Yeah, I mean for her, it's like she's up at 4:30 and is at home at 8:30, 9 o'clock to be up again the same day, doing it 5 days a week.
Yeah.
So you're just constantly tired.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been on. I've done some extra work like last year, and it's just fucking crazy. I can't sleep, especially like when I go from here and then I go into a world where it's like loads of fucking people, and I'm just like, you're meeting loads of new people, and then it's a lot of the time extra work though. You're just fucking sitting around forever, waiting for an hour to go in.
I think it definitely does create a lot of opportunities for people though, because if like you're waiting around, like even like when we do music videos, like. The extras on set, they're waiting around all day.
Yeah, you just talk. I just talk and build new connections and see if they want to come on here.
And, I don't know what they get up to because, I don't see that side of the things, but, they always end up coming quite pally-pally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're always quite a... It takes a lot of them that takes a certain character to do it, I think.
I like that, like, I've been on a Marvel one and they take your phone. So everyone has to fucking talk. Like, there's no escape. And then, like, Jenga comes out or chess comes out. You know what I mean? You're like, we're back in the days again. So, yeah. I wanted to do... I said I've got a little thing to do. It's a little psychology task. I hate the word task. But it's more like a meditation. So just relax, go with it. And I tell everyone else on this as well. Don't get stressed. It's cool. It's good. So all it is we're going to lead you through... as well, I'm going to call this episode Ryan and Tommy get stuck in a tornado because all I can hear is fucking crazy wind going around. So basically all I'm going to do is lead you through the forest and I'm going to ask you some questions and they'll be very obvious that I'm asking you a question. So just say to me exactly what you see when I'm asking you what you see, basically.
Okay, cool.
And then at the end I'll tell you why you did that.
What's the reasoning behind my answer?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Cool. And nothing you think will be what you think in the
I'm excited.
Yeah,
wicked.
Right, so I've got a little bit of ambience. See if it comes through. Yeah. So we're in the woods. Right, so close your eyes. Put your head back if you want, but mind the bush.
I'm in the woods.
You're in the woods. So, you're walking through the woods. The leaves are falling. And there's light coming through the trees. And as you're walking through, you look to your right. And you're walking with someone. Who is that person? Do you know?
My brother.
Your brother. And as you're walking through the woods with your brother, there's an animal just appeared out of nowhere. What animal is it?
A parrot.
It's a parrot. And what sort of interaction do you have with this parrot?
It gives me a high five.
Sick. Fucking love that. Yeah, so he's quite friendly. Cool. And then you're going to walk further into the woods and there's a house. What sort of house is it? What sort of size?
It's a little thatched cottage.
Yeah?
Yeah, with like thatch roof.
Okay, cool. Very suited in the woods then.
Mm.
Is there a fence around it?
Yeah.
Yeah? Is it blocking the house or is it, can you get in or?
Yeah, there's a little gate.
Little gate. Okay, cool. Then you go through the gate and you go into the house and there's a dining table. Describe what you see on the dining table and around the dining table.
I see a big, massive turkey
Yeah.
in the middle of it. Yeah, just a massive feast.
Yeah, massive
feast and a little house.
Jokes. Alright, and then you're gonna walk out the house and there's a cup on the floor. What's the cup made of?
China.
China. And what do you do with the cup?
Throw it on the floor. Smash it up.
Alright, and now you're gonna walk to the edge of the property and there's a body of water. What type of body of water is it?
A river.
A river?
Is that what you mean by that? Yeah.
Yeah, like like a lake, a river, a stream.
Yeah.
It's a river. And how do you cross this river?
With the rope string attached off the tree next to it.
Okay, cool. So fairly quickly you're over there. Alright, that's it. I'll tell you what it means. It's interesting, bro.
I love that shit.
Yeah, it was fucking jokes. I love that you said parrot, man. That's fucking hilarious. And then you gave him a high five. So basically, the person that you're walking next to is the most important person in your life. This is very right now as well. It just comes up maybe from your subconscious so that's the most important person in your life. The size of the animal represents your perception of the size of your problems. So that's pretty good. It's a parrot. You didn't say a fucking elephant, so that's good.
Yeah.
Mind you, a high five off an elephant might have been a bit bad.
Break your arm.
Yeah. The severity of the interaction you have with the animal represents how you deal with your problems. So a high five, you're literally going into your problem. You know, you deal with them as they come and when, and give them a high five. So
Oh, cool.
yeah.
See you later.
I got you, man. Yeah. The size of the house is the representation of your ambition to resolve the problems. But to be honest, most people say small. So I think when you've said a parrot, to me, from doing this with a few people, when you've said it's a parrot and the house is fairly small, then I think it works coincide, if you know what I mean. You didn't say a massive elephant and then a tiny house.
I think for me on the thought process behind that as well, it's like, I felt like I had to be somewhat realistic with what would be in that environment. I don't know, because it's like, I don't know, with like the thatch house thing, I was like, thinking about that, it's like, I didn't choose a mansion.
Mm-mm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's got to fit in the environment a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, a parrot, I don't know what woods you're in. Not one's around here. There's parakeets around here.
Yeah.
So the fence is indicative of an open personality. So it's people... you welcome people all the time, or the presence of a fence indicates a closed personality, which I don't think you have too much of a closed personality. I think you're open to who can come through the gate.
I think that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, especially with like social media and stuff, I think that's kind of like the world we live in now. I think with like having that gate. Yeah. and it's and it's like too many people now, I think, are trying to not have a fence.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, and it's kind of like, do we really need to be actually posting all this shit all the time?
No.
You know?
Yeah, I get that as well. So then what I liked about the table is, that's where I said to you, what was on the table and what was around the table. And if your answer did not include food, people, or flowers, then you're generally unhappy. You was like, it's a fucking feast. So I thought that was dope. There's just
That's
a
nice.
big
That's
fucking
really
turkey.
nice to hear. Nice to
hear. I mean, I've always seen you as a really happy person. Whenever I see you,
Yeah,
you're
I
always
think
pretty
so.
uplifted. You're not, you know what I mean? I've never seen a moody Tommy. I mean, we all have moods, but you know what I mean?
I guess so. It comes in drips and drabs, I think. You know what I mean? I think definitely as I'm getting older, I'm getting grumpier.
Yeah. I mean, how old are you now?
I'm only 25.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to get
know.
25%, yo. So then you went outside and you picked up a cup. That cup, what it's made of, is representative of how you perceive the durability of the relationship with the person named in number one. So China could be quite fragile. You also smashed it. Fucking hell. For example, styrofoam, plastic or paper are all disposable. Styrofoam, paper and glass are not durable. Metal and plastic are durable. So China's kind of in the middle. It's not going to dissolve from getting wet. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's kind of we use that in a lot of things like food, what we eat with and everything else. So it's not, you didn't say plastic. One person said a Sports Direct mug.
That's brilliant.
And he didn't smash it.
It's a lot of cleaning up to do.
It's true. Your disposal of the cup is representative of your attitude towards the person number one. Would you say that's how you treat your brother?
I think there is definitely some sort of destructive
brotherly nature
behind me and my brother, because I always remember kind of when we were kids, like he always really wanted to like be like, what are you doing, like, you know, can I hang out with you, that type of thing. And you know, obviously being a teenager, you're like, no, go away. And I think that like that's kind of the same vibe, I guess. But he's a good kid, man. Well, not kid, he's a bloke now. But
how old is he to you?
He's 3 years younger than me.
Oh, right, okay.
But we're polar opposite.
Yeah.
He's like 6'4", big afro, big dude.
Yeah.
Like so in his own world. Like all he does is, you know, works hard, goes home, goes fishing, smokes a bit of draw. He's happy.
Yeah.
Fishing all the time. Catches some big carp, big fucking fish. Like.
Yeah. So he's good at it then.
Yeah, it's his thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's his one thing. You know. I mean, he'd love to do it for a living, and he's definitely good enough. Yeah. He's just never had that, like...
No.
Snap up, you know?
Yeah, I knew a guy once, I used to do building with him, and he used to go to a park around here called Grovelands. He's been going there for about 7 years, and he said in the summer, you can see the fish sitting on the top, right? I said, how many have you caught there then? He said, none. He said, they're too fucking smart. I was like, so you've been going there for 7 years, and I think he just wants to get out of the house. I mean, it's a peaceful thing, isn't it? So the last thing, as we led into fish as well, was the body of water. So the body of water is your representation of your attitude. The size of the water is representative of the size of your desire for love. So a river's pretty good, really, because it's not a lake. As in, you're not... I think how I perceive it, I said a stream, and I stepped over it. I'm very focused on fucking work right now, you know, and I don't need too much of it. If you're saying a lake, I think you haven't got enough in your life. So a river's kind of like in between, it's flowing through.
Yeah.
You know, and then you fucking got a swing and jumped in over it.
Yeah. I think that was just because it was kind of like, that's kind of what you expect to see. Like,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When you're a kid or something, it's kind of the first thing you'd like.
Yeah. It's great. It's great seeing. I've done this with about 3 or 4 people now, and it's great seeing different. Especially, I know you. You know, I've known you for a while, but it's great seeing different people's personality come out in it. Like you said, a parrot. Like, you know, it's funny to see what sort of springs up out of people. Yeah. So it's a good little thing. Anyone can do it as well. You can just check in, check it. But it's hard. Now you know the answers yourself. You're going to be like, well, yeah, it's a mouse.
So many combinations though. That's what I think's exciting.
Yeah.
It's like you could be. What was the craziest one? Can you remember?
You know what? The guy before, big up Jesse. He was like, "Who's the person next to you?" He's like, I think he said sexy Latino. And the guy before that said a person in a black robe. And I was like, okay, this is going to go fucking south. It's going to go a bit deep. So, because it's quite in context of you're in the woods, I think where people aren't pulling out a person, maybe that's, they haven't worked out who's most important right now at this minute, or they're not too busy thinking about someone else at this time. It's tricky to... It's up for interpretation most of the time at the end of it, really, Yeah. It only gives you a sort of basis of, like, what those things are, so it's tricky to know. I'm definitely going to look for more to see if there's other, because we don't really do that, do we? Do you have anything that you check in with yourself and be like, where am I at right now? How can I work out what's going on?
I mean... I think it's really important to look at things and situations from like a third person, from an outside view. Take your eyes out of it and, look at it from another perspective for sure. But like, I think that's probably the way that I do it, man. Like, I don't know, I'm quite good at just like brushing things off now. Do you know what I mean? Because like, especially in kind of my world at the moment with like work and stuff, it's kind of like, I'm one of them sort of people where like, because I love what I do and I was fortunate enough to have something that I loved become my job.
Yeah.
And I still get to do it in a creative way, which I find very fun and exciting. When I'm not doing it, that's when I'm unhappy.
Yeah.
And that's what I've realised. And I think the next step for me now, from that analysis, because I really learnt that this winter. And like we've been saying, you're going to hibernate in winter. But it's kind of like, I'm bored. I'm not bored, but it's like, I need to find something else in life that satisfies me just as much as that one thing does.
Yeah.
Because, like...
I think it's the sun in winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was you going to say? You think it's like...
Oh, it's kind of gone.
Yeah.
But, it's definitely important to look at it from that outside perspective.
Would you say, like, what I find, like, after pods and things like that, like, I think what you're getting towards as well is the flow state. So when you're in that flow state, you're busy, you've got a massive concept, you're doing a music video, you're working with a big artist, it's all buzz, everyone's around you, and then, it's done, and it's like, oh, okay, that was great, but I still want to feel like that.
Exactly.
So I get high off pods, or I get high from going fucking Kung Fu. Like, it's like such a buzz.
Because for me, that's what exactly, because for me, like, as a kid, or my younger years, skateboarding was my thing. And that was kind of where the filmmaking me was made, was from that. But like, it's like I go skating now, and I'm still absolute fanatical about it. Do you know what I mean? Watch it, read it all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I just don't have that same like motivation to go and do it. That partial love of it for actually participating in the task of it is lost. And it's like I went skating yesterday, but it's very hard to reconnect with it once you're out of the flow with it, I think. And I don't know if that is an age thing or whatever, but I think like you having that kickboxing, it's like that's a great outlet, and I think the biggest improvement I can have on myself now would be find a new outlet.
Yeah. What's pulling you? Like, there's something there. If you...
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think to be honest, definitely winter, because as soon as it's sunny, the whole mindset on skating would definitely change.
Yeah.
But I think it's winter, man.
It's a hard one, and our winter's shit. Like, it's so shit. I mean, I look at where my mum lives in Spain, who's 23 at the minute, and I'm just like, and it just stops you from doing things that much, And I think also London and that is so on the entertainment basis. Like, you have to go inside a building and watch something, or be in a club, or, it's all inside. And for me, I'd rather just be in the cold woods all day walking around or the shed. So I think for me, like, how I look at it, is in winter I want to be somewhere else. You know.
That was the mistake that I made massively, because I was waiting around for work in January that just didn't really come.
Yeah.
And I should have gone away.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
So you said you're writing at the minute then. So do you put together like kind of ideas for new artists and things like that? Is that sort of your process now?
Yeah, I mean, so like the main backlog of like my job and what I do now is, so like my agent will get a brief from a record label and they say, this is the artist, this is kind of what we want to do, you know, kind of we want it in this tone, or, you know, kind of this is like their brief.
Yeah, yeah.
And say, this is the amount of money we've got, you know, so they say, right, we've got 20 grand. Then my job will be to then write a thing called a treatment, which is basically like an overlining idea, concept, script about this film and how we're going to make that. So, you know, like from scene by scene breakdown, what the characters are, what the casting's going to look like, the cinematography, the production design, everything will be like in that one document. And then my producers and the production company will then, you know, break that film down into how much it's going to cost to make that, from the crew, you know, how many props we need, how many actors are involved, who's involved,
how much it might go over budget.
Exactly. and that's always the case, especially in music videos now, because it's kind of like,
is it the time?
The time's nuts, dude. Like,
yeah,
I'll get a brief and it will be Wednesday at 5:00 and it'll say ideas due Friday.
Yeah.
And that's 2 days to write a whole video, you know, something. And like, you need, I'm at this point now though, if I get a brief and I don't like the music and I don't click with the, like, you know, most of the stuff that I write now is probably like within a very short period of time I've kind of made some sort of concept up in my head.
Yeah.
And then I'm able to flesh that out. But it's the ones where I've maybe got 5, 6, 7 concepts, but none of them are clicking. And then I'm like, you know what, that's not for me.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean. If you could bring someone back from the dead and create a music video for them, who would it be and what would you do?
Such a fucking hard question.
Yeah, sorry. I just thought of it. I was like,
I mean, the first one that comes straight to my head would be Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
You know, putting aside all of the wacko jacko. You know, he's an absolutely fucking incredible performer. Or or Freddie Mercury. Probably one of them two, I think.
Those two. David
Bowie as well.
All three extremely creative and pushing boundaries. You know what I mean? Is that where you see yourself then in the music scene, to push the boundaries?
Massively. Because I think it's important to have a creative voice. And I think if you want your voice to be heard, you know, you have to stand out.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be doing something different. And it's such a highly saturated market, you know, because there's only, really, especially in music video, you know, there's 3 or 4 major labels. You know, you got Sony, Universal, and Warner. So they're the 3 big dons that are dishing out all the, obviously got the labels inside of them.
Yeah, of course.
But, you know, they're obviously got your indie labels and whatever, you know, there's loads. But it's a small business and there's a lot of directors, you know, so the amount of food there is to chew on, you know, isn't enough to necessarily keep you fed.
Yeah,
you know, it really is like a survival of the fittest type situation.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's hard, man, in any industry as well. And it's like, I don't think people look like, I used to fucking just watch music videos on MTV all the time. You know, I wouldn't really watch, like, when I was young. Like, I loved them. They were so dope.
But I bet you, like, you could, you know, you like name one that you loved from when you was a kid. You know, you always can.
Yeah. I used to love a lot of, like, Ludacris and, like, Busta Rhymes and the music videos. They were, like, rap videos were always kind of pushing it. Yeah.
And I love the level of humour, especially in rap as well, because it was like, even though they might not be talking necessarily about subjects that were deemed as funny.
Yeah.
But there was always, you know, a lot of great directors would, you know, play spin on it. Like all of the old Busta Rhymes videos, they're all super wide, fisheye in the face, and he's kind of got, you know, it's all a kind of cartoon vibe, and you know, it's all in that tone of like Big Mama's House or some shit. You know what I mean? And it's funny, you know, and I like that idea of like, when I get to make a music video for an artist, you know, I get to actually like make what I see for that
Yeah,
piece of
yeah,
music,
yeah.
you know, and
Yeah,
it's like,
you
how
bring it
does
out.
that, you know, the main thing is like, how does that make me feel? What does that music feel like? How do I make that feeling a picture? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Whether that's even someone performing or whether that is like someone, or you know, I've done something like very narrative driven, and it's, you know, but if it's like something, even when it's like someone performing, it's like, you know, you still need to capture it in the essence of how that song feels, you know. And I think like being obviously, you know, being complimentary of it is kind of the main thing at the end of the day, isn't it? Like you've got to make something that
Yeah, you got to
complements
bring it out of what it is, yeah, and highlight the moments of what's most impactful from the song, really, I suppose.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah. I really like the one you did with Willow.
I really,
The two, was
I
it two?
love, I
It's two
really love
you've
that.
done, innit?
Yeah, we did two, but the bigger one we did was the
Human traffic one, or
the one with the kid, the little girl.
and because the
eyeball.
animation in that.
VFX is crazy.
Yeah. So are you edging towards that a lot more?
Well,
Like bringing in VFX and sort of special effects.
Yeah, because the opportunity, you know, the levels of creativity are endless.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like, because you can. Do you know what I mean? And like, the whole idea with that was kind of like mini Willow Kane sees London through a kid's eyes, and it's all a bit weird, but everything's kind of familiar. You know, so as she walks past the, you know, the running theme in that is kind of like, this 3D artist Hattie Mass, we was like really, just like a big fan of his work. He does like, I see him from like these so he would like get iPhone footage of like subway trains.
Yeah.
And then he would just do like the craziest 3D animations of like faces on trains, and it was just so sick. And so when we wrote the treatment, I was like, I want to work with this guy. We reached out to him and kind of, I was like, you know, this is what we want. So, you know, I kind of want this kid seeing these eyeballs and stuff. But, you know, that was just like the art of collaboration, because that was kind of like, this is what we want, now you do your thing. And it just worked.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
There wasn't no like, oh, can you change that? It was very like,
yeah,
this is what I've done,
good
and it's very good, you know. And it was like, it was seamless in that aspect, definitely. But yeah, like as you were saying, like, you know, the whole VFX thing, like, definitely, man, because it's like, you know, I love doing things in camera, you know, like I would rather go and shoot something on a location rather than do it in a studio.
Yeah.
That's just the way I am. And I think that, like, with VFX and like with VFX, like, yeah, it's good, but I don't know what I'm trying to say, but yeah, I think got this bit out. I've just lost my. What was we saying?
Well, basically, I mean, with VFX, it's like it's a limitless kind of avenue with a music video, and the fact is, you know, you can.
Yeah.
If you can't just make real eyeballs fall off a building, so with VFX you can do that, and I think we kind of went away from that a little bit for a while. It's like there was a kind of massive spawn of it, like 90s, 2000s. You know what I mean? Like all. You know, they were trying to do any kind of effects in videos, like make it different, like a different world. You know what I mean? So I like the fact you're bringing it back. What do you think of, like, have you seen Gen 1, the AI thing?
Right. So I got introduced. I don't know. I don't think I've used Gen 1. I think I've heard about it.
It's a fucking waiting list. I'm waiting to get on
That's
it.
the thing. So my mate Rowan asked me to fill out some form for him so we could get on it or something.
Yeah.
But I use that Chat GDP, man.
I used it for a lot,
Mate,
and I think
it's absolutely mental.
Yeah, it's a free.
You just type music video, be like, right, so, you know, I just type a top line for a music video in it, and it's like,
yeah,
and it's like, I was writing a video for an artist, and I was like trying to think of scenarios, just for like ideas for scenes that could play out, of like things that could happen whilst in an off license.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, things that could happen in your local neighbourhood corner shop, bro. And it gives, not the speed, it was quicker than my brain was. You know, and then once you start filtering it a bit and turning it into the right direction,
yeah,
it's very clever.
And I think it's a very formal creativity. It's not too out there, but what it does do is definitely give you so many more ideas from it.
I think it needs to be used as a resource.
Yeah.
AI. and I don't think because I'm kind of skeptical of like. How crazy is this shit gonna go? I don't really know. I don't know.
We're fucked.
I don't know too much about it.
Run, people.
But this is what I'm saying. Even for like me as a filmmaker, I've heard now like there's like these AI things, or like I see someone showed me this thing the other day. I can't remember what it was called. Maybe it is the thing you're talking about, and it's like it can literally make a fucking claymation film.
That's it. Yeah. In the matter, yeah.
And it's like, but look at me and my industry and my.
That's what I mean.
You know, think about a lot of the like graphic designers and illustrators, for example.
That was the first explosion, really. Isn't
For
it?
example, like the poster for the season you're doing, that's all hand done. But I'm not taking away from the art. But there is technology now on a computer that can do it like that.
Yeah.
Bro, I downloaded that
nuts.
face generator thing when you like
Lenser.
that's the one.
Yeah.
And 20 minutes later, I get
There I am.
100 different images of me, and I'm kind of like pretty freaky. Do you know what I mean? If you was to like, what do you call those artists in the street? You know, the ones who do the fun
Portrait artist.
the caricature.
Caricature, yeah.
Are you gonna go sit there and get one of them done? You know, it's gonna take you half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
Computer can do it in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, I mean, the claymation, right? Have you seen it? It just looks so fucking nuts. Like,
It's fucking mental.
and you're right. It is the fact. Okay, so if you can also like that's just claymation. You can also put a picture. So you just drop a picture to it, and what it will do. Say if it's like me and you doing this, it'll reference it. So say if you put like I don't know a flaming man in it, we'll both be on fire. You know, and it'll do it nearly to the T of it. That just changes VFX massively. It changes the whole fucking thing. So, but you still have to make part of it. It's still a working relationship. So how I use it with the chat one, I'm like, can you give me every single email template I would need as a podcaster? It gave me 13 different email templates, all written, all done. So it's shit like that. I just think that's a free staff member right there that we don't have to. That could take ages. You know what I mean? So
That's really.
there's points of that. But then when I go and do extra work, right, what scares me a little bit. Not that I'm going to be doing extra work for much longer, hopefully. I enjoy it, but at the same time, they take you to, I think it's VFX they call it as well. And basically what it is a room full of cameras, and they take your photo of your whole entire body. So like Marvel, so Marvel, it's a scan, isn't it? So Marvel will put you into different parts of that episode if they need you there. Soon, you're just going to have people that do movements or whatever that need for that scene. You go in, they pay you like £25, and that's it. And then they just use you in that. Why would you need all these bodies?
Just manipulate.
Yeah,
that one
they can just
person.
use it. They can just set it up, and there's already things that do that. So I think there's a lot of the industry that's going to change in the next 2 years massively. I think.
I mean, I do agree with you there because I think like the prime example for like, especially in like an extra space, is if you watch Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
You look at that big epic Live Aid scene. They shot that with such a small batch of people, and then that was obviously like plated in. Do you know what I mean? It's slotted in and duplicated and whatever.
Yeah.
But whereas like, I think to some degree it's kind of like you'll always have the extras in camera though. You know, and I don't think film with actually like making films, I don't think that will ever go away.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, obviously, you know, in hindsight, all right, I'm shooting a scene and it's in a restaurant, and there is no one in the back and it's a static shot. You can easily put someone in the back, easily.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, what because in film, you know, like the do's and don'ts, like they're very, you know, there's the you know, the do's and don'ts of film, like people still will always play. Obviously, you know, you break the rules, but people will always abide by the rules, you know, and people always kind of glorify it for the art that it is.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think too many things will go too off tangent in that sense. I think kind of the core.
Just depends how much money you can save. You look at like a war film, you got 700 fucking extras.
Exactly.
That kind of shit. So
that's the difference.
And where it does that, that's where I think they'll use it in that sense. And then they get maybe a row of 10 people at the front for like the frontline people. That's it. You know what I mean?
Have you seen that movie Athena? You seen that shit?
No. What's that?
So it's a movie about urban warfare set in France and kind of an estate, and basically like kid's brother it's just crazy, mate. Like the whole I can't really be too particular on the narrative, but like everything is real, and it's kind of like the scenes of like buildings blowing up and like the life and the way it's shot and everything, but it's all done in camera. And it's like, if you watch the behind the scenes of it, it's absolutely like...
Yeah, man.
It's like, you could do all of that, like the amount of extras and stuff, and the way it's choreographed. They're like throwing real Molotov cocktails at each other, launching fireworks at each other whilst mopeds are going around. It's absolutely... It's like a riot, the whole film. And it's like, but none of that was VFX. Like, the take's like 15 meters long. The cameraman gets locked into like a harness on the top of a crane, and a rope will send him up with the camera after the camera's been handheld for 10 minutes, and it goes 100 feet in the air, and you get this top-down perspective all in one shot. And it's like, they did it like that, and you know, they didn't have to do it like that, but they did it like that because they were like, we're gonna fucking do it like that.
Yeah, and do you think that? I think when you're watching like Marvel now or something, you know it's all VFX. It's like the last Avatar, I thought was good, but it's just like the whole. I love seeing like old films. Like I watched
Me too.
Metropolis. Do you know that? Like
I
the
haven't actually
1920s.
seen it.
See, that's just mad because it's like I think it's like 1920s or something. It's a silent film, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's just the whole sets are insane, like proper insane. I was watching it with a friend over the weekend, and we were playing like different music over films. So just like in the background, you know what I mean? But it's just trippy,
I love
bro.
doing that. I did it.
There's
Dude, you can
the
the
Wizard
best
of
one
Oz
to
with
do
Pink
it.
Floyd, isn't it? You seen that?
No, I haven't seen that.
You
one.
got to watch that. It's fucking nuts because it works together. It's almost like they're talking some of the words at some point.
Yeah,
it's
and it
proper
matches
crazy.
up.
Yeah. What ones have you done it to?
I mean, my favourite one to do it to is Toy Story.
Really?
It's fucking brilliant. I remember
first
this
one.
one time I was getting really, really fucking high, and we had it on the TV. I think we was on a tour bus actually.
Yeah.
And we was all blazing up in the lounge. And we had this Max B tune come on really loud. And it's just like this really like nice rap song over this one scene of Toy Story, and we were in stitches, mate. It was like bang on, lyric for lyric, word for word, and we were just like, no, like,
yeah.
but
It
it's
is
kind of a
jokes that
happy
works.
accident, isn't it? I think.
Yeah,
as well.
100%.
It's like,
No, it's really bizarre. I watched Tron, you know, the digital universe kind of thing, and that we were playing like it was kind of like hippie kind of like music like that over it. And it just looked fucking nuts because you know you got like the ships that are like spiraling down. I was like, this is crazy. This is changing my whole experience of the film. Or maybe it was the mushrooms. I'm not sure.
could have been both, man.
But yeah, it's fucking. I really like doing that. But I was looking at like. I like watching older films for the way how they really push the boundaries and how they do like they build sets, and you know it's rare to see now because you can just do it.
Yeah,
all in a Blu-ray.
I think what I love about making film as well, it's kind of like I've written that idea, I've got that idea of how are we going to do it, even to the fundamental things of like how are you going to shoot, where are you going to shoot it, how does that location work, and it's always a constant like how are you going to do it like that, and I think the more hands-on, the more real you can be with it. I think especially as a filmmaker and as a director, that's what's the really, really fun thing about it, as actually being like hands-on with the craft, because like, especially like, for example, like the Willow Kane video, like that was one of the hardest shoots I've ever done because predominantly we got a kid, and like, and she's an untrained actor, so she's got this little girl who's never even been in front of a camera before, the camera's bigger than her. And then, like, I'm trying to get, like, actual performance out of her, but I have to speak like a kid all day. Not in, like, a belittling way, but, like, I can't talk to... I'm not going to talk to a child actor who's, like, 7 or 8 years old in the same way as I would a trained actor that's the same age as me.
Yeah.
You have to change your vocabulary, and you have to be very, like...
Animated.
Exactly. So, but like with the whole VFX thing, as we were saying, like the enjoyment comes from that part for me, because it's kind of like, all right, you got that idea, that's kind of like the addition for that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was just kind of like the shoot's done now, the edit's done. Then like you then know, like you then choose the shots that it's, you shoot the plates for it, so the big building shots where the eyeballs are coming down and she rides past on the bike. We shoot that without that, and it's put on after. So it's kind of more like the icing on the cake.
Yeah,
especially in the
sure.
sense of that project, I think.
Was that quite a test then? Working with, was that the first child you worked with? Was you like?
Yeah, it's like
Can I do
especially in
this?
like a lead role.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like,
because I suppose you have to explain more in a more simplistic way, so it's actually harder.
Exactly, but also it's kind of like the level of understanding of a kid. Like you're not necessarily gonna. I mean, Nelly, bless her, like she was very shy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when we were first talking about the role and kind of breaking down the character and stuff. It's not like I'd sit in with an actor and have a conversation with them. You break down that character. Whereas with her it was kind of like you're kind of just being yourself, and you can't really give too much reasoning why, because they're not really going to understand it in necessarily the right way. So a lot of it was like very just like in the moment with it. Like we did no rehearsal. I think we probably had like 1 or 2 Zoom calls.
Yeah.
And the producer spoke to her parents and like,
Get it done.
But like, apparently on the morning of the shoot, like she walked on set and she like cried. Was like super nervous.
Yeah.
And then she just maxed out this 10-hour day.
Yeah.
She was real like pedal to the metal with it. Just because we were shooting all day. She had no rest, bless her. It was all day.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do, innit? You have to do it. I mean,
exactly.
You're on low gear, Shan.
So, I mean, that would have been a shit show if it was like, oh my god, she's not going to do it.
Yeah,
No one told me.
Luck was on your side that day.
No one told me about it. I didn't know.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I had no idea that even went on till after the shoot was done. But apparently it was kind of like the producers were like, oh my god, like what? Oh shit, this could be bad.
She's not feeling it, yo.
She's not feeling it. Like, but that's the thing though. Again, it's like
that can happen to anyone at any age. You know what I mean? In those kind of contexts as well.
It's nuts, yeah.
You don't really know what you're going into. I mean, extra work, you're not told anything. You don't even know what it's called. You just get thrown in and you're like, all right, cool. Like I'm on Wicked next week, and the set's made there, and I saw pictures, and it looks fucking insane.
Yeah.
Ariana Grande, where are you? So Kids of Chaos, is that... I'll put it up there for you.
Yeah, I see it earlier. Yeah, it's done.
Are you doing another one of them?
I am doing another one. The next one's going to be a bit different.
Yeah.
Well, not different, but it's going to be a mashup of like multiple artists.
Okay, cool.
So still got a couple more that I'm like I've got a lot of great stuff for it now.
Yeah.
But I'm just kind of like, I need a few more bits because I don't just want to put something out and like it not be good.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
take your
So-
time, like...
I'm not rushing it. I mean, I'd like to get it done for the end of the year, but it depends on, like, what I've got, like, what the opportunities are over the summer and stuff will really kind of paint the
To
picture
put
of it.
into
you
it,
know?
yeah,
It's the
yeah.
better, it like I said earlier, you're waiting for the next thing, you know? So it's like, that whole project, I need to be more, I'd like to be a little bit more proactive with it and be like, right, I'm going to actually go and, like, organise the shoots kind of off my own back a little bit more rather than being, doing it. Because a lot of the stuff is kind of like just moments that I kind of spend with these particular people or kind of being on the road on tour and stuff.
I think that makes it quite organic, though.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool that you haven't set it up in that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you're kind of there.
Because
This
it's
is
a very,
your
like,
journey, in a sense.
there's a real just kind of like documentation viewpoint of it. And
Yeah.
it doesn't feel editorial at all. It's not like, all right, there might be a portrait of somebody, but it's not like studio, big lights, flashy. It's very like, this is a beautiful
Yeah, I
moment.
love it. I think it's sick. Like I think
know.
the realness of it is what you kind of stand for, and that's where you want to go with it, I think.
Yeah, and I think as well, like as a creative outlet, photography, I have a different set of eyes when it comes to photography for me as it does with film. I think.
Yeah.
A lot of like my stuff's black. I tend to lean into black and white in a majority on a photograph, and like I'm very like I like to kind of capture photos that feel like they're moving in some way. I kind of got into photography off the back of making films, whereas like a lot of stills photographers transition.
To
I find
film.
it more the other way round.
Yeah.
You go from photography into film. So like, I don't know. That's kind of where my style comes from. Kind of having that that movement.
Yeah, I suppose you still want to be moving with a still frame.
Yeah, kind of. You know what I mean? In
Yeah,
some
yeah.
kind of way. So like, yeah. Whereas like the video stuff, that's for me is a lot more like less of a documentation. It's kind of more of like me being like, I want to make this thing in my head become
something.
Something. Whereas for me, that's like, that looks really beautiful in that whatever it is, you know, that picture. I think, you know, if I've shot that photo and I'm like happy with it, then I'm like, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, that's the nice thing about the picture. You just kind of take it and then it's done. Like, because, you know, you could be really, really creative photography. You know, you can do stuff with big set builds and like big fashion stuff, you know, and there's makeup artists and this and this. But for me, like, you know, I'm not saying I wouldn't be interested in that, because there's money to be made. but what I'm saying is that, like,
Always.
I like the other end of that, and I just like the more kind of, not lo-fi, but the more kind of off the cusp, like, yeah, that's cool. You know, the more documentary side to it, I just think it's really compelling. You know, shooting a photo of someone on a wide lens, close up, it's just like, I don't know, there's just something about that for me where I'm like, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, capturing those moments. So what, like, documentaries, would you ever go into, like, you know, sort of, what kind of documentary would you want to make if you went that way?
I think that, like, definitely at some point I would end up making like a documentary with an artist.
Yeah.
Just because, like, I've done so much short form stuff of the years in that context. Like, I've definitely got the caliber to go and do that.
Yeah.
You know, like, for example, like Charlie Lightning's just done like the Louis Tomlinson movie, done the Liam Gallagher one, and I think that, like, you know, and he's a music video director as well. You know, and I think that whether you want to make documentaries or whether you want to make music videos or whether you want to make a movie, the fundamentalities are kind of all the same, because you are trying to tell a story at the end of the day. You know, and it's kind of like, I'm quite versatile as a filmmaker, where, like, I feel that, like, if there's a project that I'm like, you know what, like, I'm up for that. You know, whether that's like doing something that's like off the cusp, shooting with a small crew, and you just like, fuck it, let's go get the shots.
Yeah, you go where your interest lies first.
You know, you go, if it's exciting, like, you know, you'd end up wanting to do it, you know?
Yeah, that's where I think you have to kind of follow your passion. Like, because otherwise...
Follow your gut.
Yeah, your gut as well. Like, because otherwise you just get fucking bored.
Yeah.
Or you're like, why am I here? This isn't good. Yeah, I would love to make documentaries later on, I think.
I think it'd be wicked. But I like, you know, like as you're saying when you had Harry on, like, that was a story that needed to be told.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And it was a rough
Very
one to
unique.
try and get, 100%. But it's also, he said he was struggling quite a bit with, you know, actually getting it out there. I think he was there for like 5 years or so. You know what I mean? So, and that's fucking, to live in the fucking Amazon, bro, for like 4 or 5 years.
Was the ideology for him going out there? Was that him being like, I'm here for the film, or was it was it more?
He built that. Have you seen the doc?
I've seen the doc. Yeah.
Yeah. So
because obviously he went there, but was it like, because obviously they're obviously shooting the documentary. You know, he's got to keep his batteries charged and everything whilst he's out in the fucking rainforest. So that's a hard fucking task. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, but was it more so like, was the documentary project behind it, the film, was, because he's not a filmmaker.
No.
He was doing the animal stuff.
Yeah.
You know, look at, what was it, an ocelot or something?
Isolot, yeah.
Yeah. So he's looking after that. But like, what I'm saying is like, was the film like a big driving force for him to stay there and still participating in it, or was it kind of more like?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Did you get what I mean?
Yeah. I think all factors laid into it for him. I mean, he broke it down to the reason he went there was obviously because he was not in a good place and he wanted to obviously move on. So he wanted to go there to the most dangerous place in the world, probably. But through nature, he said it's not actually that dangerous. And what he said was, after about 13, 14 days, he realised, you know, he could be in a better off position mentally here. And then I think the kind of documentary side wasn't there from the beginning. I think he just started documenting and then going into whoever produced it, and it took a long process to get, you know, it off the ground in that sense.
Yeah.
But I just like you, it's the rawness. It's the fact, you know, the camera might be like over there and they're arguing out the front. You know what I mean? It was like you're kind of like, you know, a Breaking Bad point of view. You know, it's not from the angle you would really see it in a representation of a usual documentary. Because I think some documentaries can now be like so in your feelings. Blackfish, you know, it's very orchestrated in a way. Yes, what they're highlighting is bad and everything else, but it's just so orchestrated in a way like a movie is, you know, rather than it being raw.
I think Netflix really created the staplement for that new style of documentary. Though.
Yeah.
You know, that whole like
Tiger King.
Yeah,
Let's have them sitting in their setting.
You know, and it's
their
very,
house.
very talking head driven.
Yeah.
And it's maybe they use a lot of reenactment or a lot of stock.
Mm.
You know, whereas like Harry's one's great because he's not
just
sitting there talking to camera telling the story.
Yeah.
You're watching this film that's been shot without any narrative, and that's why the editing process is so vital in that. You know, and it's like you have to create that something out of nothing. Obviously, there is context and 10,000 hours.
I think 1,000 hours or 10,000 hours. 1,000 hours would be a lot as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That editing must have been fucking insane. Like, because also, I mean, to try and remember, he said he could also tell the time without a watch and everything else because of the sounds and everything in the Amazon. He got so adjusted to living there. And what was funny having him on the pod through Zoom, I was like, so what you been up to lately? He's like, well, you know, just fucking doing normal things, going to the post office, building a fence. Like, he's just not feeling it, you know what I mean? So, do you think most of your work is always going to be alongside music? Is that what really drives you?
Yeah, I love music. You know, I'd definitely love to be a musician if I had any musical talent.
Yeah, me too. I'm fucking terrible. That's a great guitar just to stay there.
Yeah. I mean, I'd definitely have some guitars up on the walls of my house.
Yeah.
Not for me to play.
Yeah.
For people to come and play.
Yeah.
When the party's on, you know, you've got a few pals around who can really shred it.
Yeah.
On, do you know what I mean? But, yeah, I mean, at the moment, music's tough though, man. It is, because there's so much budgets are being cut. There's this whole new world of the content world now, you know.
Mm.
TikTok, and
short
form, snap, you know, and the music videos aren't they're not like the priority at the moment.
Very true. I haven't thought about that. Yeah.
You know, they're not the priority. The TikTok is.
Yeah.
You know, so for like a lot of my circumstances now and what we're doing, it's like record labels are like, you know, we can't justify spending 25 grand on just one music video that's going to sit on YouTube and maybe get playlisted on a television.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, all right, we'll spend 15 grand on the music video, but then we'll, you know, or the music video will be some sort of content driven piece that we can then chop down into shorter content that will then get will get distributed onto TikTok, you know, YouTube Shorts.
Yeah.
Shit, man. You know, it's this whole vertical world is
changing it.
Changing it, man.
Do you think it might be more like, I don't know, I haven't really seen if music videos are doing this or not, but they would do like a short preview to attract just to the song and then remove the main, or not do a big main video anymore? Do you think there'll always be, because there is now longer form on TikTok. You can go up to like 10, 11 minutes, isn't it? But
it's the engagement result.
Yeah, it's fucking.
You know, they're a record
very
label
hard to get that long.
Would be like, you know, if you're blowing up on TikTok now, like, that's what's deemed good in the music world. You know, like, people are getting signed off the back of TikTok, but then there's artists who are incredible artists, like, you know, like someone like Ash, for example. He should be so much bigger than what he is.
Yeah.
He's talented. He's raw. You know, and he's got a start. You know, he looks good.
Yeah.
You know, he's got kind of
big up Malimba.
But you know what I mean? Whereas, like, you know, and he's been out there doing shows for years and years and years, and people are sleeping on the fucking talent.
Yeah.
And then some 18-year-old kid pops up online, you know, remixes some other tune, pulls down the reverb, makes it sound a bit sadder. Poof, the internet blows up. Sign him a record deal. You know, all right, longevity is another question to that. You know?
Yeah.
I believe in, you know, I want longevity. Do you know what I mean? And I don't, and I'm like, you know, but it's just like, poof, and it's gone. You know, and that's the thing with a TikTok. It's like, you're sitting there, you're scrolling, and it's gone, it's forgotten about. But when you sit down and watch something for 4 minutes, and that's why you remember the music videos that you watched on the telly, because you sat there and you watched them and you indulged in them.
Yeah,
You don't indulge in TikTok.
Because it's one thing after the other.
Because it's like...
So quick.
You know, I could say to you, all right, what was the last music video you watched? But then I say, what was the last video or the last post you watched on Instagram?
I could tell you the last one on TikTok, which was a girl who's singing and she's used a body cam in front of her. You know, I've seen it a few times. I don't know what it's called.
Snorri cam, maybe?
Yeah, I wanted to do one of them ages ago.
Do the alien.
Yeah, Alan. He'll be out soon. He'll be out after this.
Yeah.
I was thinking it'd be sick, especially people's reactions to that. But she's got a real way about her singing, and it's like it's something like you used to think you. It's like a bit.
If you're fucking born,
Yeah,
that Lola Young.
Yeah. But I thought that's raw, and it's kind of good, and it's long form on that. So she.
But But this is the thing, though. If you look at the music video, it's not long form.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's very low. I mean, all right,
about 2 minutes or something like that.
But it wasn't like. I mean, I kind of get that with that video being why it is like that, because. Like, it looks lo-fi, right? She's on the Snorri cam thing, and the cuts are kind of the same, and the editing's there.
Yeah.
But like the last video, or a couple videos, I don't know when it was, but she then I remember she done a video with a director called Casey Lock, and Casey Lock does like the big rap videos, M Huncho, you know, all of that, and he done one of her videos, and it was very like painted, glossy pop. So I don't know if like the reason why they did it like that was to be like. Kind of catering for the TikTok world, and it be like we don't want to spend the money on the video because we still need it to feel like the TikTok does. You know, because at the end of the day, like TikTok is like you're filming it, you're recording it in your bedroom, you know. So like the idea of the music video, making that concept, you know, and like making a bigger film. Maybe it was you still to make the music video about someone being fucking boring. However you'd play that, what tangents you would want to go off on that, I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, they didn't do that. That's what I'm saying. They did that very like lo-fi video of her in her ends, and it's like, but there's reasons for it, but I think a lot of the subliminal energy behind that is like the record label being like, focus on the TikTok thing.
Yeah,
you know, because like that song was so TikTok. Everyone was playing, like Kendall Jenner was playing that shit on her TikTok. The song wasn't even out yet. You know? Yeah,
it's tricky. I mean, what's mad is like with this conversation we've had today, you can just see that there's just a wild transition coming. You know, and it's been bubbling for a while. I think AI is going to incorporate so much now, and it's the fact that all of it's going to go to the creator that can do it all in his bedroom in that sense. So it's like how I look at it is like if I could use Gen 1, I could make this alien character and whatever be in any kind of place with no fucking green screen. You know, I can make it look like claymation. I could do a whole video on the basis of what reality is and have every different form of kind of reality or complex that you'd think with zero editing skills. It's fucking.
and I find that. I just find that.
I like working with people though. I like the craft of people. It's like the reason I done that artwork with Trond is because it's like you build something together. You're both learning together. Like that's what we're meant to do. You know what I mean? If you've got something that can just do it instantly, and also I find that AI artwork it can be really just like a bit weird. One eye can be slightly fucking. You know what I mean? It's not quite there.
Yeah, but I think that's because like. You know, attention to detail and like what you see through your own eyes when you're making art. I don't know, like a computer can't.
It imitates it in its best way.
I don't think a computer will be able to understand that feeling of the process of doing it.
Yeah.
If it starts doing that,
then we're fucked.
Then we are truly then we're fucked.
If it develops its own how it thinks and feels. You know what I mean? Because now it's just a thinker and it's just pulling information. Really, I'm not sure whether it's like. Okay, you know, I think it's got a database. It's using all our fucking data in a sense of information in order to get the best answers and everything else. It's how quick it is on that chat that's scary, though. It's so scary. And I overload it sometimes in a sense of like asking it different stuff and it still fucking goes.
Yeah, and it's like you can see it thinking, though, like when it's writing it and it will pause for a bit.
Yeah. I sometimes tell it to hurry up. And
You bastard. You horrible, horrible man.
making it work like a slave. Yeah, it's bad. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely in a kind of different state where we're going now, you know, to how things work. And I think with me, like, it really helps with all the shit I don't want to do, like the admin work and, you know, build an episode brief email and all this stuff that would take me as a dyslexic person fucking ages. And it would just come out. You'd be like, yeah, I got that episode brief. Did you just speak that? How I write something. It's informal all the time. So with me to work coincide with it, I think it's good. And then I think if you're a younger director and you don't have big budgets and you don't have everything else, you could still visualize and create the things with AI and you know, develop things in a quicker shape or form and maybe a less costly thing.
I think so. I think a lot. I mean, you know, people will lose jobs. You know what I mean? Like, but even not even in my industry now. It's like McDonald's are running. You see, they're doing trials of AI only computer restaurants with no employees.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, you know, especially for like McDonald's ethos. I think what's that? What's the movie?
It's not a restaurant. It's a property business. Is that where you're heading to?
No. So like, I think like the whole idea of the product when it was first originated was, you know, it's this thing that's like made with love and it's, you know, it's a McDonald's burger.
Yeah.
And now it's like, well, if it's just being made by a fucking computer, is it really the same product?
It's still not food.
Yeah, big up McDonald's.
Yeah.
I was gutted they took the chicken legend off that menu. It's just like,
I ain't had a McDonald's in about 8 years.
mad.
Yeah.
Why are you not into McDonald's?
I mean, I'm veggie, bro.
Yeah, but you can still get some veggie dippers or something.
You know what? The vegan burger isn't even that great though.
It's the spicy thing and it's a bit dead.
It's not. Yeah, no, not that one. They actually do like a Beyond Beef one.
Oh, I have seen.
Yeah. But then
That
they put a
meat's
giant
crazy.
fucking tomato in it.
What, in the middle of the burger?
Yeah, because when I first went to get it, I was hoping for like a double cheeseburger kind of thing. You know, just. I used to be bad though. I used to have two double cheeseburgers, a Big Mac meal, 6 chicken nuggets, and a chocolate milkshake. Cane.
Are you like chuffing before you go and have that?
Yeah, I used to smoke a lot of weed.
Because like, I'm getting like one Big Mac and maybe a side of nuggets. That's me. Like, I'm full
Done.
after that. But
Yeah,
then I'm hungry
yeah.
again 2 hours later. But
That's what I mean. It ain't real food. It don't fucking fill you up.
well, a story, right? So Liam Hagar from Rat Boy.
Yeah.
He had this whole, I can't remember what car he had. He had this old like silver Beetle. This was like 7 years ago. And he had a cheeseburger in his car for a year, and he put it in the boot, and he just left it there.
Yeah.
And we was out one day, and we come across the cheeseburger in the boot. We opened it up and it didn't rot.
No.
It just didn't break down. It
They
was the same
fucking
thing.
stayed
Just
everywhere.
rock hard.
Yeah, it's not food, bro.
It's like
It's not
so
fucking food.
if that isn't breaking down after over a year,
Mm-mm.
what's it doing to your insides? Real talk.
Exactly, man.
But it tastes good.
Yeah, well, you know, that's what everything is with food, really. As long as it tastes good, you know. And the problem is, I think, with a lot of things that we don't realise, is everything takes time. So, you know, disease creeps up, but it's like, you know, they always say whatever you're doing now will affect you 10 years later. And I was like, well, what I was doing 10 years later, I should be dead by now. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it is mad how it doesn't break down, and it's just... That's so jokes. You found it in a boot.
Yeah, it was just in the boot of the
Did
car.
it even smell then or nothing?
No, not really. It was just like, it was basically just like an old bit of plastic.
Yeah. And then
Really gets the gears burning in the stomach together, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
your body's got to work hard for that.
But you don't really ever feel, you know, when you eat like loads. I love how we've gone just mad into food, but you know when you eat loads and you're dead, like you've eaten so much. You know what I mean? With McDonald's, I never used to get that. It was more like
No, you don't get it.
Nah. It's like eating paper
Yeah, eating
with
air.
chemical flavour. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really eat like I don't really go for like the processed meats either, like the fake stuff. You know what I mean? Because I feel they're a bit weird as well. I used to.
What do you mean, like the fake stuff?
Like, you know, like
Bird's
the
eye,
corn,
that type of
chicken. No, the corn, chicken,
yeah.
like the fake meats kind.
Oh, sorry, right.
Because even that, I'm a bit like, you know, that's a bit weird. You know what I mean? It's like I'm not really.
Why would you want to, like, if you're not going to eat, if you're not eating meat, why would you want to eat something that's pretending to be it?
The same reason when I say to you McDonald's isn't food and you say it tastes good. It's because it's taste. You still like the taste.
But it is food, though, isn't it?
What, McDonald's?
Yeah.
Well, in a sense, but not in the sense. It's so away from its original source of what food really actually is. It's not a whole food. It's not grown from the ground. You know, it's like
It's processed,
it's processed, and it's fucking now not even chucked out by a human.
Yeah, now he's going out on a robot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do find that a bit weird. But then I'm still like in ways, you know, where people eat. You know, we were hunter and gatherers. I think you should eat a bit of both, but have good produce.
I think, like, you know, especially like nowadays, the whole veganism thing. Everyone, you know, everyone's so like, ready to burst with something. And I'm like, no, I mean, you know, I'm no health advocate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm learning still on how to be better.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I've quit cigarettes. Don't smoke cigarettes anymore.
Well done.
3 weeks.
Yeah, that's good.
Like went out last night down a pub. Few beers, didn't have one cigarette.
That's good, because with me it'd be beer and then I want a cigarette.
Yeah, but I didn't do it last night. I mean, to be fair, I went to Brighton, took a load of shrooms. The next day,
No,
like
gone
smoking anymore.
Yeah, you had a good.
So I mean, I know maybe
with
I'll come on here in a year's time and you'll ask me if I'm still smoking or not. We don't know. But I think at the moment I'm not.
Shed won't be here. I'll have to come travelling to you. I'm going to put it on a trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
You know, like when you go down the motorway and you see them mobile homes. That, like,
you
have to escort vehicle
got an escort behind.
it.
Yeah, I need one of them guys. Yeah, no, I will. I'll definitely do that. No, so what happened on your little shroom trip? Do you think? Did anything happen where they kind of said to you, "Yo, dude, you need to stop smoking"?
Not even. I was in the cinema watching Babylon.
And
it was like the most incredible experience of my life. It was brilliant. And I was just like laying on the beach before we went to the cinema, just like watching the stars, and the stars were wicked. And then I'm like, you know, when I watched the movie, and then the next day I was just like, I don't need to smoke cigarettes anymore. It's really, really weird.
Yeah.
But maybe it wasn't that. I don't know. But it was after that. It was adamantly after that where I could taste every chemical, all of the shit. You know, it was like I used to love smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
It was like my thing. You know, and I think a lot of it as well, a big factor of it was price.
Yes.
You know, I remember I was in Southend. It was actually like sometime last year, and I walked in off. I come out of Nando's and I walked across the street, and obviously having a meal, you want to go get a box of cigarettes.
Yeah.
Because you want your cigarette after you've eaten. And I walk over the road, go in the shop. I'm like, oh boss. I said to him, this is the world we live in now. I had a £10 note, and I had to say to him, what cigarettes can I get for a tenner?
Yeah.
The cheapest box was £11. And I'm like,
no more $2.99 Mayfair.
But it shouldn't be that expensive.
No. It's the tax on it, isn't it? You know, they probably can't get them out of circulation. They don't want to lose the money on it.
They make so much money on it.
Yeah, it's breathing though. You know, it's not necessarily just the nicotine. People are stressed. What do they do? You go outside. Oh, I need a break. You know, just go and breathe. You know what I mean? That's what it's fucking connected to. So I think it's the hardest one to get through. But you know, you are a mushroom having a human experience. So they probably said, "Oi, stop fucking smoking."
Yeah,
this
something
shit.
just clicked.
Yeah. That is really good, mushrooms, for addiction. You know, to do tricks and then, you know, show you a process of maybe this isn't what I want in my life anymore. I think they're mad, mushrooms. Anyway, everyone knows.
My most favourite thing to do.
Yeah.
They're fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I feel that, like, once you do it, you're so cleansed afterwards. Like, the clouds have just evaporated.
Yeah.
You know, and you just feel you got a little bit more of a spring in your step.
Yeah, for sure.
And like,
you mean the next day, not when you're on it? Like, yeah, it really does.
Like, it's kind of like the thing me and my girl do all the time. You know, we'd like just, you know, do them, and it's just so stupidly fun.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You have such a laugh.
Yeah.
And after you do it, you're like, that's wicked, man. Like, yeah, big up for that. Like.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean,
I feel like it really bonds people together.
100%. Yeah.
Like, I feel like we're extra close, definitely because of the experiences we've had on that stuff. But just because it's so fucking funny, man.
Yeah.
But you know what's crazy? And this is actually a really good time for. So I have every time. I've done the last 3 times I've done mushroom trips, right? There's always been some kind of bookend of the narrative that happens within the day.
Yeah.
It's so fucking weird, right? So I mean, whether
something you got
whether
work,
you
something you got to work through.
No. It was like So, for example, right, like weird little shit. So, I was in London, southwest London, where my girlfriend lives, and we had, for some reason that day we was just like, sandwiches got brought up into conversation like quite a few times.
Yeah.
And so I remember we went to her dad's house, and he was eating it, like he had just like this. He was sat on the chair, and this was before we were tripping, and he had like this perfect like ham and cheese sandwich like on a plate, like, on his lap, just about to eat it.
Yeah.
And I walked in, I was like, you know what, Ray, like that is like a really good sandwich. Like I just felt like, you know, when someone's got a sandwich like that, that's wicked. And then like 3 or 4 more times that day, sandwiches like got involved in the conversation.
Yeah.
And right at the end of the night, when we're like on this trip and we're walking through like Kingston, and I'm like, mate, all these people are fucking, you know, everyone's features are prominent, and you're like, whoa, this is mental. But anyway, we're looking at this little bakery at the end of the day. It's probably like 5 o'clock, and all these lovely little cakes in the window. And there's this woman standing next to us, and we're like looking at, and she's like starts chatting to us, and she's telling us about the cakes. And then what she turns around and says is, looks at us right in the face. She goes, and the sandwiches, they're big enough for 2. And we look there and we go, how did, like, someone has made you fucking say that, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and so.
Well, you said this to her.
No, we couldn't say this to her. She's thinking fucking nuts. And we're like, what the fuck? And I had it last. I went away. So I went away to like a spa weekend. About a week, 2 weeks ago, right? And I've been obsessed with Benidorm, the program. I fucking love it. I've probably watched it back to every episode twice now.
Yeah, it's pretty.
We always, me and my girlfriend always talk about it in that, right? And so we're staying in this hotel, and I'm like cracking a joke about Benidorm, and I'm like, you know, like, oh, like I bet he's working here, whatever, you know, like just like silly jokes about that program.
Yeah,
and they're being played off like a few times that fucking day.
Yeah.
Anyway, I roll a spliff and we go to the bar, and I ain't got a lighter. So I go to the bar, and I say to the guy behind the bar, have you got any matches, mate? Like, and he's like, no, I haven't got a lighter, but I haven't got any matches, but I'll go to the kitchen and get you a lighter, because there's one in there. So I'm waiting, so he goes off, and I'm waiting there for a couple of minutes. He comes back, and do you know what he says to me? Pulls out this lighter, and bearing in mind at this point now, like I've taken some shrooms, I'm like thinking fucking weird. Yeah. And he gives me this fucking lighter, and he turns to me, looks at me, and goes, "Make sure you bring that back because it's from Benidorm." And the lighter was a fucking Benidorm lighter, bro. And it's just like shit like that, where I'm like, but it only like every single time when I take shrooms, it had something like that in that degree of like weird, like something's
synchronicity.
Yeah.
So do you think maybe that with the shrooms you're just more in a state of consciousness where you're aware of these things?
No, absolutely fucking not. Because they're too bizarre. The accurate. It was like someone had told that. Do you know what I mean? Like that niche of a thing that that's like a joke between me and my partner.
Yeah.
And then it gets brought out, and it's like what the fuck? Like, you're just like, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. Really, really, really odd.
Yeah, I mean, things with mushrooms, I think out and about, I don't do them too much out and about because I find it is a lot to process. You just get fucking knackered as well. You're like, oh my God, 4 hours and I'm fucked. But I find like that can happen a lot to me out and about without shrooms. Like just things, your awareness just like, oh, okay, that was meant to happen because of that, or this happens because of that. You know, it's strange how things start coming up like that. But with shrooms,
I mean, maybe it is like the heightened sense of euphoria that makes it.
Well, you're definitely ingesting something that is extremely intelligent. You know what I mean? They're smart little fuckers, them things. They've been around for about 13 billion years. People I've spoken to, like mycologists, they would be like, yeah, like, you got to respect them. Like, you know, because you're ingesting something that's got a lot of knowledge in it. It's fucking nuts.
They really do. I just love the way they change the perception of things. You know, acid was a bit like, oh, that was a bit
so long.
Too long. I didn't really.
11 hours.
12 hours.
Yeah.
I'm like in bed at 4 a.m.
And you're hyper as it is, man.
You know what? It made me in a real state of confusion more so than anything.
It's very like mushrooms can keep you on a base level of not too much of a wave, as in like you go with the whole motion of it, whereas acid can be like hello, goodbye, hello, goodbye. It comes and you're like, oh shit, and then you can't really remember the last 10 minutes of cracking up and what you cracked up about. I find acid can be quite, an illusion, but also a delusion, because you're like, you just can't, you don't know where you're at, and then it just doesn't fucking end.
But for me, even when I took it, I didn't get that laugh. I didn't get that like real gut giggle. I don't know whether I had some kind of inner demons or worries when I was going on that maybe repressed it or whatever. I don't know at that time, but it was fucking gnarly. I remember like sitting there at 4 in the morning, in pitch black, and I could see like the base inner line of like the geometry behind everything as it's painting the whole picture of all the walls, and oh mate, it was crazy. Yeah. Just like sitting there, like just looking around the room, and every part of the wall is like made up of green, blue, or red neon lines, and I'm like, this is crazy. It's just like too much. It's very, very weird.
Turn the lights on for 10 minutes, come back to reality.
Staring at it. But the thing was as well, there was just one point where like there was a real system to what I was seeing. But this one point where it was like everything was straight lines, but then as these straight geometry lines were embedded in the walls, just a circle started forming in the middle of the wall. And what it would do is it would remove all of the geometry. So you mentioned you've got a circle opening like that, but you've got lines like brick wall. Them lines are going and the circle's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
A bit like a black hole.
Exactly. But I was like looking through it, and that was the point where I was like, I've got to snap out of this. Because it was like, it felt like I could have walked through the wall.
That's maybe the void, innit? That's what they called it.
Exactly, it was the void. And I was like, but it gave me such an energy when I was looking at it. It was like, I felt it there, and it was like, right, that's too gnarly now. I've got to stop. Just kind of snapped out of it.
Fear can come in at that motion, you know what I mean? Because it's like,
it was fascinating. I was like, oh, but it really scared me. I was very like, my girl was asleep. I was sitting there, like looking at the wall, and I was just like, whoa. And this hole was getting bigger and bigger. But behind that hole, it was like there was something there, and it was like, but something told me you shouldn't be looking
not yet,
at that.
bro.
Not yet. That's what it was. I wasn't. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll see it again.
Yeah, I mean, there's like when people do ayahuasca, they've sort of said to me, there's the void, and sometimes you're just in the complete blackness.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
And that I don't know whether that's a midpoint, whether that's somewhere that you're actually going, whether it's the chemicals in your head. But a lot of people go there, and it's scary because you're just in blackness.
That's exactly what I saw. Because the thing is, as well, though, bro, was like what I see, like the fundamentality of my reasoning for what I saw.
Yeah.
What I saw, and like I'm not that mental in terms of the way I think about things, and I don't sit there and like preach this is what I think about it.
Yeah.
From my experience of what I had during that trip, it did give me the ideology that like, all right, there is a chance that we are definitely living in some sort of computer generated
100%.
Computer generated society.
It's a simulation.
World. Because like I see everything made up
of numbers.
No, it was like the base. Like when you look at like the breakdown of VFX, and you have like the pre-made images, and then like just the lines, and it's all a bit geometry. I see that for fucking everything I was looking at in that room.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like you take out all of the detail, all of the information, all of the colour. All you've got is the red, green, and blue, and that was what I was seeing. The base infrastructure of information for everything that was around me.
Yeah.
And and then once that void and it started erasing, it was like everything was being deleted. And the more I looked at it, I was so intrigued. I don't think I'd ever been so intrigued about something in my whole life.
Yeah.
I was just looking and looking and looking, and I went, I can't do this no more. Bang. And I just snapped out of it.
I reckon you'll see it again.
I think I will.
Yeah.
And I really want to.
I think simulation is a really interesting theory because it's we're building simulations now. They're going to 10 years, they're going to be replicated in the same way we see this. You're going to feel you're in it. So, and the way you look at it when you go into trips and people that experience near-death experiences, or they do mushroom trips and they're laying there for 5 hours and their body, they feel they're completely out of their body. So people like cancer patients and everything else, you know, they actually get better after a lot of the time because mentally they realize they're not just their body. So I look at it like, if there are all these things happening, this could just be some sort of illusion, some sort of thing for you just to experience in, and the source is kind of consciousness, just going, yeah, we're going to experience that, and that. Tommy's going into the void right now. We need to wake him up again. You know, it's mad. It's mad.
It really is. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I've got a final question for you, laddie.
Go on then.
That's what I ask everyone, and there's no right answer, but it's, what is reality to you?
I think reality to me, you know, at the end of the day, reality is what you put yourself in, you know, so it's kind of like, how do you see the world? You know, like, whether that's kind of like from the, like, emotions that you portray to what you get back, and like, I don't know, like, what reality am I in? I'd like to be, I feel that, like, I live in quite a really, like a quite, at the moment anyway, I'm living in quite like a real logical way of life, you know. Don't feel like I'm too away with the fairies in a sense. I don't know. It's a hard question. It is a hard question. What would you say yours would be?
Ever changing.
Ever-changing.
But to me, the reality that I am in is a product of my perception.
Exactly.
So, and I think the closer you get to, let's say, the light, you know, from the dark, or the closer to answers, only spawns more answers. And I think what we are in is some sort of, whether you look at it as Earth, or whether you look at space, or God, or whatever, I think the basis of it is for you to expand and explore and follow passion, really, creativity, you know, in whatever way, shape, or form that is. And I think in the Western world, we've kind of lost maybe our approach and attachment to nature, but we're trying to find it again. And I think a lot of that coincides. And like you said, you like mushrooms. I think we have also in this reality, fucking hell, it's like a guitar. In this reality, we have a partnership with plants, in a sense, like mushrooms. They help you expand. They help you see more. They've been here longer. So yeah, for me, it's just an ever-changing sort of thing. And I think there are parallels. There are different realities that you could go through. You know, if you take a decision, your life goes in another path.
Exactly.
You know, stuff like that.
I think, you know, it's very like, you know, environment, like, you know, what environment you're living in depicts your reality.
Yeah.
You know, like, for example, like, if you're a rock star, you know, you're going to be in a completely different reality to someone who's working as a doctor.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that, like, you know, even like with things like depression and stuff, they're living in a completely different reality to someone who isn't depressed.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they have this, I don't know what, you know, the necessarily cause of that depression may be, but because they've been subject to a particular thing or a particular environment or a particular series of events that have made them have that, you know, that's the reality that they live in. And like you said, it's being changing reality, I think, is important because, you know, the reality in the sense that, like, oh, I'm happy. So the reality of my life at the moment is that I'm happy.
Yeah.
But then at some point, you know, you might suffer from loss of a friend or a pet. That's going to make you sad.
Yeah.
But then it's how do you
Process
want to,
that.
how do you want to be in that sad reality forever? Or, you know, how do you train your mind to depict and bend and find new things? You know,
Manifest in that way, you know.
I'm a strong believer of it, man.
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of what we're in is created mainly by your mind.
Exactly.
You know, it's how you think, how you feel, and what you do with it.
You know, like my girlfriend says, you're full of shit when you say that. I'm like, nah, man. But I've had it to the point where I've
The CIA kind of say the same thing too. That it's a holographic universe and it's created by the individual's mind. so then we're like, fuck.
But like that's the thing.
Why haven't I got that boat yet?
She says I'm nuts, but I'm like, I've had so many times where like I've spoken about things and they've kind of become true in ways that are so weird that like they wouldn't you know, like me saying about something and then that happening like a week later or something very close to that subject.
Yeah,
so niche, then kind of become in existence.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just...
Well, there's an old saying, words are spells. You know,
yeah.
you're 75% water. Water can pick up on vibrations. So I think what you put out there you have to be careful what you say. That's why people say it. I mean, they do a test with children in schools sometimes, and
What test is that?
They put a jar of rice, 2 jars of rice, and they put love on one and hate on the other. And the kids talk badly to the hate, and they talk good to the love. And the love one always lasts for ages, and the hate one goes bad. So, you know, food and stuff like that pick up on vibrations and everything else. So I think talking to yourself, if you are in a sad position, you got to talk well to yourself. You know what I mean? If you wake up and going, never going to get that, never going to do this, you know what I mean? It's not going to happen.
And that's the thing as well. Even, like, and then again, like, the reality we live in. You know, like, when I'm busy and I'm doing well for myself and I've got multiple projects on, the reality that I'm living in is a completely different headspace to when I'm, say, it's winter, there's not much going on.
Yeah.
Your headspace is different. I find that I think a lot more during the winter time than I do in the summertime.
100%. You're very busy, man. You fucking like, see,
like,
but from the days I met you, you're a nutter on stage.
running around.
Yeah.
Good times though.
Good man. Yeah. Well, it's been great having you today.
No, thank you.
Have you got anything you want to shout out? I know you're sort of in between, but you know, obviously, Kids of Chaos is something you're gonna be developing.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be another one of them coming on. Just shout out life, man.
Yeah.
You know, try and shout out, like, obviously shout out you, shout out Ryan, shout out the fucking shed, because, you know, it's great to be back.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, just shout out to life, man, because we need to project those positive vibrations so we can, you know, as we were just saying, so we can get them back.
Yeah.
You know, well, I mean, the sun was out and it was really nice earlier. It's getting a bit darker now, but
yeah, the wind. The wind's been nuts. I've heard it every now and then.
I heard an ambulance. Did you hear the ambulance earlier? Very faint.
I can't wait to listen back to all this series because, like, the amount of different noises I've had on it: seagulls, fucking factory workers. I think we had, like, unwrapping of paper the other day or something. Yes, I'm sorry, people. It's independent, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's a shed. Do you know what I mean?
It's a fucking shed. It's as organic as it gets.
Yeah.
Right, bro.
If you open their doors, you just hear the wind. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, they opened at 4 o'clock this morning.
Yeah. Freezing.
Right, bro. Well, thank you.
Big up, man. Thanks for having me, man.
No worries, bro. Wicked.